The name Texas City appears exactly twice in American industrial safety history. Once in April 1947, when a docked ship detonated with such overwhelming force that it vaporized its own hull, and once in March 2005, when a refinery explosion killed 15 workers just down the road. These two accidents occurred in the same port city, 58 years apart. They represent two distinct chapters in industrial history. The 1947 disaster changed how we isolate and transport hazardous materials, while the 2005 explosion targeted the internal management systems that govern the plants themselves. To understand how this happened, we have to start in 1947. Following the Second World War, Texas City was a booming 1 square mile waterfront packed with civilian-run oil refineries, chemical plants, and rail yards. Discipline at the docks was relaxed, and the city was thriving. But that rapid expansion masked a terrifying vulnerability. The port was processing tens of thousands of tons of military-grade chemicals, taking in hazardous cargo that places like the Port of Houston had already banned, and moving it all without specialized safety protocols. The port's primary post-war export was fertilizer-grade ammonium nitrate, or FGAN. It was produced at reactivated military ordnance plants for European farms. Port workers treated this chemical exactly like flour or cement. You could sit right on top of a massive, unshielded stack without a second thought. The military manufacturing process introduced two distinct flaws. First, granules were coated in a highly combustible wax and rosin mixture called PRP. Second, it was packaged hot into heavy 6-ply paper bags, trapping heat inside an excellent thermal insulator. On the morning of April 16th, longshoremen noticed smoke rising from deep inside Hold 4 of the SS Grand Camp, a ship carrying over 2,000 tons of this bagged fertilizer. To preserve the valuable cargo, the captain ordered his crew not to use water. Instead, he relied on a standard marine fire suppression technique, sealing the hatches and injecting live steam into the hold to smother the flames. But ammonium nitrate is an oxidizer. It supplies its own oxygen. Displacing the atmospheric air with steam did nothing to starve the fire. The steam only added heat. Sealing the hatches added pressure. The cargo crossed a critical threshold into a supersonic thermal runaway. By applying standard handling and ordinary firefighting protocols to a powerful oxidizer, the crew of the Grand Camp accidentally built a highly pressurized, perfectly sealed chemical reactor. At 9:12 a.m., the SS Grand Camp detonated, vaporizing the steel ship, triggering a 15-foot tidal wave and sending a shockwave as far as Denver. The physical force was devastating. The ship's 2-ton anchor was hurled 1.5 miles into the city. The casualties were staggering. Approximately 580 people were killed, with thousands more injured. In the first seconds of the blast, all 28 members of the Texas City Municipal Fire Department at the dock were wiped out entirely. The ensuing legal battle reached the Supreme Court. While a district court found the federal government highly negligent for its dangerous manufacturing specifications, the Supreme Court ruled the government was legally immune from the lawsuit. Congress had to bypass the ruling entirely, with then-Senator Lyndon B. Johnson helping to pass a special relief act to compensate the victims. And despite decades of litigation and federal investigations, the specific ignition source, whether it was a discarded cigarette or spontaneous combustion, was never conclusively proven. The 1947 disaster did force immediate regulatory action. The Coast Guard rewrote maritime rules to mandate direct water suppression for cargo fires. The organic PRP coating was permanently banned from agricultural fertilizer, and the National Fire Protection Association formally codified strict chemical storage guidelines. Local refineries also realized that a single site's firefighting capacity could be destroyed in an instant, leading to the creation of the Industrial Mutual Aid System, a cooperative emergency network used today. The Grand Camp explosion established the baseline for how to respect the physical chemistry of hazardous cargo, but it was only one step in a much longer evolution of industrial safety, one that would face a different, more systemic test at the turn of the 21st century. We jump forward 58 years to March 2005, just down the road at the sprawling BP Texas City refinery. The hazard here was entirely different. This chart highlights a fatal flaw in the industry's metrics. BP and other operators were heavily measuring safety success by tracking personal injury rates, slips, trips, and falls. By those metrics, the plant was winning safety awards. At the exact same time, critical maintenance on complex machinery was being deferred, and massive systemic risks were quietly compounding. The breaking point came when operators accidentally overfilled a distillation tower with liquid hydrocarbons during a routine restart. The pressure relief valves opened, discharging a massive geyser of flammable liquid directly into an outdated open-air vent stack. The resulting vapor cloud drifted 640 feet and ignited. 15 workers were killed instantly. Every single fatality occurred inside lightweight wooden contractor trailers that supervisors had approved to be parked directly in the blast zone. The company's hyper-focus on worker behavior had created an illusion of safety, blinding them to the failing infrastructure and the catastrophic placement of temporary structures right next to hazardous units. Following the blast, the U.S. Chemical Safety Board investigated and forced the petroleum industry to radically overhaul how it measures and manages process safety. The American Petroleum Institute issued new, strict directives. API recommended practices 752 and 753 strictly banned lightweight wooden trailers from dangerous process areas. Another standard, RP 521, outlawed atmospheric blowdown drums entirely, mandating closed flare systems to contain flammable releases safely. This graphic represents the industry's ultimate course correction, ANSI API RP 754. It established a 4-tier safety pyramid that permanently separates minor personal injuries at the bottom from major chemical containment failures at the top. This standard was the industry's formal admission that a low rate of recordable OSHA injuries tells you absolutely nothing about the actual risk of a chemical plant exploding.